Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has hit out at the current PM Rishi Sunak, claiming that the Tories are drifting to defeat under his leadership. Johnson said voters are turning back towards Labour because the Tories were not offering them anything to rally behind. Johnson's comments came in a series of interviews with his ally and former Cabinet Minister Nadine Dorries for her new book. Both have since left number 10 and Parliament, and both have been strong critics of Sunak since Johnson stepped down. The former Minister Nadine Dorries herself resigned from her Commons seat. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Conservatives lost by-elections in two traditionally safe seats, Tamworth and Mid-Bedfordshire in central England, reportedly shrinking its chances to win the next general election. Now Johnson is claiming that the current government is losing voters in so-called red wall seats that voted for Brexit and going back to supporting Labour. Johnson's harsh criticism went on to claim that the current Prime Minister was a stooge put in place by his former aide, Dominic Cummings. Cummings, of course, had a bitter and public fallout with his ex-Premier. Johnson has even suggested that Cummings contributed to him being forced out of number 10. Well, we're now joined by Andrew Whitehead from London. He's a historian, author and a former BBC senior journalist. Andrew, many thanks for your time today. Is this Boris Johnson with an axe to grind, or does he have some legitimate points?
Well, I think it's both. I think he certainly has an axe to grind, and it's a startling reminder of how deep the rift is within Britain's governing Conservative Party. But he's also right to say that Rishi Sunak, in more than a year in power, has not really managed to get the Conservatives back on a winning track. So the Conservatives are still well behind the opposition Labour Party in the opinion polls. We're now probably about a year away from a general election. And the one thing that Boris Johnson suggests, he doesn't say so directly, but it's fairly clear he means it. He thinks that Rishi Sunak has basically given up. Not only are the Conservatives drifting to defeat, but Rishi Sunak knows that and in one level is accepting that. And of course, that's very dangerous. If you've given up, then you're never going to have a chance of winning. But I think the really important thing is Johnson's wing of the Conservative Party, some of whom are still in cabinet, really thinks Rishi Sunak has not delivered for the country and not delivered for the Conservative Party either.
It's all music to the ears of the Labour Party and Keir Starmer. And did we perhaps get an inkling of Rishi Sunak's future when he was doing that AI summit and talking with Elon Musk? He seemed very happy and comfortable there. Many reports saying that's the most upbeat they've seen him in many weeks, whereas in the political sphere, he seems, like you say, to be very downbeat and potentially has given up.
A lot of people have been speculating about that, and I think Rishi Sunak enjoyed the artificial intelligence summit a few days ago. He clearly enjoyed the conversation with Elon Musk. And of course, there is a precedent. So Nick Clegg, who was the leader of the Liberal Democrats and Deputy Prime Minister, he went off to Seattle and still works for one of the really big high-tech companies. And I suppose Rishi Sunak must be at some level wondering what does he do if he loses the next election, because it's very unlikely he's going to hang around after that. He certainly won't hang around as leader of the party. And as for Keir Starmer, the opposition Labour leader, yes, of course, divisions within the Conservative Party, Boris Johnson criticising Rishi Sunak, that really helps him. Labour has, until very recently, come across as very disciplined and united. But that unity is starting to fracture a little bit, with varied opinions within the party about what's happening in the Middle East, the conflict between Israel and Hamas. So Keir Starmer may be smiling on one side of his face, but he may have a frown on the other.
Andrew Whitehead, historian, author and former BBC senior journalist, many thanks for your insight there.